Just quickly before we dive into today's episode, I want to let you know that the VIP experience tickets for Unstoppable Women are currently 40% sold out. So if you know that you want to attend both days, make sure that you jump on and grab your ticket ASAP, because I cannot guarantee once they're sold out, that's it. Like I can't expand the room. So if you absolutely wanted to join us for the 2 days, make sure that you've booked your ticket ASAP. Also, keep an eye on your email for a special end of financial year bonus if you are booking tickets for Unstoppable Women. You have to be on my email list to access this. So if you're not, DM me on Instagram so I can add you before the end of financial year. Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I wanted to do an episode. Originally, when I was thinking about this idea, it came about for coaches. I thought I might do an episode specific for coaches. So if you're in a type of coach, this is definitely going to be an episode for you. But then as I was figuring out and writing out all the details that I wanted to cover, I realized that actually it'll be for anyone that finds it very hard to describe the transformation they create for their ideal client. And I want to give you the tools to actually be able to do that, because if you've ever found yourself saying, it's really hard to explain what I do, or you end up actually saying what you do versus why you do it and the outcome it creates. I went to a networking event recently and they asked that if anyone wants to share some information about their business, or if they want to do like a little pitch, people can step up and share. And so one lady got up and shared, and I could tell, like, she straight away shared, this is what I do, this is who I help. And it was very vague. And afterwards we got chatting and she was saying how, like, I've got to get better at actually describing what I do. And I said to her, it's actually not about what you do, it's about why you do it, and then the outcome and transformation you create. I said, you've got to get better at describing the transformation and the outcomes that you create from your coaching. She was a coach. And she was like, yeah, actually, you're right. I'm like, I know, I help people with this all the time. And because at the end of the day, people don't buy coaching. They don't buy coaching. They buy what coaching will give them. So you've got to really think about detailing out in your ideal client's understanding, right? It has to be so clear that they get it. So this coach was very focused on nervous system regulation. And I was like, that's great, but does your ideal client know they need to regulate their nervous system? And she was like, some of them do, like they recognize they're in fight or flight. And I was like, yes, I want you to learn to describe what it feels like to be in fight or flight. And also the symptoms that show up on a daily basis when someone is in fight or flight. And then I want you to describe then after you help them regulate their nervous system and then get to the other side of the transformation, where are they at afterwards? What are they able to do because of that transformation? So that's what I want to share with you today. One other thing I want to say about this is that one of the biggest shifts that we're noticing in the online space or in consumer behavior, in sales messaging, all of that that's shifting is that, especially with AI now, people aren't buying expertise. They're buying experience, right? They want to actually learn from people who've done it before themselves or have been able to create a transformation for their clients. And they're buying the outcome. They're buying the transformation and the outcome. So we've got to really get clear on that. So this episode will very much be in two parts. So one, I'm going to speak to how to communicate the transformation that you create, especially if your ideal client doesn't understand it. And then I'm going to speak to other areas that you need to focus on as a coach to make sure that you're getting your messaging across clearly, because clarity wins over complexity every single time. If your messaging and your marketing is too complex, your ideal client won't buy. They just won't buy. If they don't buy a transformation they don't understand, they don't buy fluffy language, they don't buy it unless they understand it in their language. So as much as, especially as coaches, I think this is why I wanted to make it a coach episode, is because when we go into coaching training, we're very much taught different types of language to use to describe coaching and the work that we do. And then in the coaching industry, everyone uses really interesting, fluffy, universal language. And I know I do this too. So please, forgive me because I'm sure I've done this in the past. And we use things like the words alignment, and we say, it's universal, or law of attraction, or we use terms that are so fluffy and not actually clear. And an ideal client, especially if you work with people like everyday people that don't have any experience in the coaching industry. Like if you work specifically with coaches, they will get it if you use fluffy language. But if your ideal client isn't in the coaching industry, it will go right over their heads and they will go and they'll work with someone who's much more specific and clear with their marketing message. And I also just want to say as well, like, it is important for you to communicate your process. Like I get that. And this person that I was speaking to at this networking event, she was talking about what she does. And I get like, it's important to share that because it is our expertise. Like I'm obviously trained in NLP. I use matrix therapies. I use hypnotherapy. I use a whole bunch of modalities. And that's the way we've got to think about it. We use multiple modalities that create a transformation and an outcome. But people aren't buying the modalities. They want to trust in the expertise and your education, right? They're not just going to someone that says, yeah, I'm a coach, and they've just got experience. They don't really have actual frameworks. They don't understand the brain. They actually have not been taught how to coach effectively. There is a difference, a very big difference. And so it's important. And that's why I say often in my episodes or in my social media posts, like I speak to the fact that I am trained in matrix therapies and hypnotherapy and NLP, because I want people to understand that I actually have qualifications to back up what I'm saying, that when I say transformation, it actually is transformational because we are specifically rewiring the brain so the brain can no longer wire and fire in ways that it has before in the past. So when we have a belief system that's so deeply ingrained in us that then that impacts how we feel, which then drives our behavior, we need to go back to the core of it, right? And when we work through shifting that core belief, we rewire the brain then is able to then create new neural pathways in opposite directions that actually then support a different emotion, which then drives a different behavior. And that's where change really happens. So really what I'm doing is change work. And I like to often use that terminology as well when I'm talking to a potential client, because I want them to understand that we're not just going to be chatting, we're going to be doing change work. So we're going to be looking at everything with a strategy, and that's why I blend strategy and mindset. We do all the strategy work, but with the mindset work, we do change work because we want to change the way that our brain is being wired because it's creating certain results. And when we change the way that your brain is wired, we can create different results because our behavior is different and we feel different, right? Because we think different. So it's still important that you communicate the modalities that you use in some way, shape, or form, but it is not the most important piece, because when it comes to the way that people buy the outcome and transformation first. They then buy into your energy, so how you make them feel, and they obviously want to connect with your vibe, and they want to like you and feel connected to you. Then they will justify with logic, right? Then they'll look at your expertise. Then they'll want to understand what your coaching package is and what it's going to look like and all the details that go along with it. But we cannot lead with that. If you lead with, I sell this coaching package or this coaching program, you're missing the point. You actually are selling the outcome and the transformation, okay? So how do we communicate that? The more niche you can get, the better when it comes to your marketing message. This is where people start and they often go really wrong, is that they are so conscious of wanting to market to everybody that they're so fearful of niching that they think that niching means that you can't work with other people outside of your niche. And that's not what it means. Niching is getting super clear on who the specific ideal client is that you want to work with, so your marketing message actually lands. So for the purpose of the exercise, it's so incredibly important that you niche and get super clear right down to the actual specific one person that you want to help. Then what you want to do is you want to write down all the symptoms that they're currently experiencing in relation to the problem that you solve. Think about every moment throughout the day. Write down all the symptoms that physically show them how that is showing up for them. Is it the way that they're responding to something? Is it the way that they think about something? Is it then driving a specific behavior? And then that outcome is the symptom, right? So you want to get super, super clear, and you want to write out as many examples of those types of symptoms. Then you want to speak to what is your framework in actually helping them overcome that and solve that problem, which I won't get into today because it's a whole other episode. It's actually a whole module I go through in one of my programs, because building out someone's framework is not something that you can just do over a podcast episode. And then you want to start to articulate, okay, once you solve that problem for them, what are they then able to do? And you want to paint the picture of that future in as much detail as possible. And you can use AI for a little bit of this, but I would actually suggest you use your own brain first, because you will probably know more than AI first and then put what you know into AI to make it even better. Because again, AI just sometimes generics the hell out of things and it just doesn't help. So unless you know the exact prompts to use. So I want you to write down all the things that can happen now that they've solved that problem. What are they able to do? How does that make them feel? And why is that important to them? Get really clear and articulate it in depth. So it's almost like from day and night, right? So you're like, okay, so when they were experiencing this problem, this is the day that they have. And now once they've solved that problem, then what are they able to then achieve? We want full contrast from one to the next. Because if you're not able to articulate that contrast, then you most likely haven't gotten to know your clients well enough to uncover that information. We just haven't thought like this before, right? Like often we just haven't thought about it like this before. So the clearer you can get in that, the easier it is then to build it into your marketing messaging. So then your ideal client goes, wow, that's me. That's exactly me. I'm experiencing all of that. And then they read the transformation side and they're like, oh my God, I want that. I really, really want that. And then they have the desire to then want to actually solve it, to then want to actually invest in it. And so that's why it's so incredibly important that you get super clear on who is the specific person that you want to help. And then obviously then we want to make sure that there's enough of those people out there that actually want to solve the problem and are willing to invest in that problem. Now, I will just say as well, everyone has the fear of, okay, if I use this and I niche down in my marketing, I'm going to have less clients come to me. I guarantee you, I don't know what I can guarantee you, but I guarantee you, money on the table, that won't be the case. The people that are killing it right now are the ones that can articulate the symptoms and the transformation so clearly their ideal client goes, yep, that's absolutely me and I want that. So trust me on this. Please trust me on this. Get really clear. Now you can do marketing campaigns. So if you're so worried that you're like, oh my gosh, if I niche in this one specific person, then I'm going to alienate all these other people that could possibly want to work with me. That doesn't happen. Honestly, I work with women. I only work with women, right? My marketing is very female focused. There's lots of pink and I still market and I still have men come to me that want to work with me. I then decide whether I want to or not, right? I'd prefer not to work with men, but if they've come from a referral, like from someone that I know that I can trust and they're open to the type of work that I do, then I may consider it. But majority of the time I don't work with men. Yet my marketing is very female focused and that still happens because it's so universal, like the experience of it when you're getting right down to the nitty gritty, unless you're saying things like talking about periods or something that's really specific to females versus men, like that's obviously going to be different. But people, they're still human beings. They're still human. So if you're worried about gender or if you're wanting to niche into a specific industry, like the way that you go about it is that you just determine a time frame. So you could niche down and spend a marketing campaign focus for 6 weeks. And I guarantee you that will be much more effective than trying to market to everyone for 6 weeks and it end up not landing at all. So I have a client of mine that she has 2 different ideal clients. And so we determined, okay, what time of the year does each ideal client really need your service? And then we go, okay, let's build out marketing campaigns for those different times of year for each individual one, and we market them separately. So she'll spend like January to March marketing to one, and then she'll flip from April to June and then marketing to a different one. And I know for a fact that even though she's marketing this way to one person, she's still going to have the other ideal client come to her. Because if she spent 6 weeks or 12 weeks actually marketing to that one individual client, that marketing is still out there in the world. And it doesn't mean that people aren't ready to buy. Some people aren't ready to buy right then, which means that they're going to keep you earmarked. And then when they are ready, they'll come back to you. So it's much more effective when you get really bloody clear on the transformation you create and learn to market specifically in the niche. Otherwise, you'll find that your marketing just falls on deaf ears. This also helps build such incredible trust because when you are speaking to your ideal clients about the problem they're experiencing and you are there in a guided way to support them and then you're leading them then to the solution, you become seen as the expert. You become seen as you really get them and then they feel so seen and heard and they want to work with you. So it honestly builds so much trust, but it's when you're flip-flopping across multiple different niches or not really getting clear on your marketing messaging because you're not niching down enough and you're not getting as clear on the transformation as possible, then that's when your marketing goes nowhere. And when I talk about the transformation side of things, you really want to make your coaching feel tangible because if you're not able to articulate the outcome that it creates, then people don't feel it. They actually don't connect to it. So we want to actually articulate, like, if they solve this problem, what will be happening from next week, right? So for instance, I could say, I'm going to help you work through your fear of judgment and fear of rejection. And once we work through releasing that and actually rewiring that part of the brain with NLP processes, you will then be able to feel different a way that you approach putting yourself out there. So if you're currently holding yourself back from posting, if you don't want to put your face on camera, you're so worried about being trolled, you're holding yourself back from really sharing your opinion because you're worried people will judge you. If you keep telling yourself that your friends and family are going to reject you every time that you put yourself out there, if you find yourself procrastinating on content, if you find yourself not going after big opportunities because you're worried about what people are going to think, that's a fear of judgment. That's a fear of rejection. So once we work through this and we rewire that part of the brain, because I want you to know that you are normal, it's natural for us to have these fears, but when they become that level of self-sabotage, when they're actually holding you back from achieving that next level result within your business and you're noticing it, right? You're starting to pay attention. You're like, hey, I had an idea to post. I put it in my notes app. And then 6 weeks later, I found it in my notes app and I realized I'd done nothing with it. Or maybe even you go to jump on camera and you're so fearful that you kind of overcome with this heat and your heart starts to race and then you bumble over your words and you don't know what to say. And all you can think of is, oh, what are people going to think of me? As soon as I jump online, I'm going to look silly. I don't know if does my hair look right. Don't have my makeup right. Like all of these things that are preventing you from actually showing up when you know that you really want to jump on camera to promote your business and you know it's a necessary need for you to be able to grow your business. That's what we need to work through first. So by working through some uncovering the core fears and then releasing those belief systems that are driving this type of behavior, I guarantee you what you will feel afterwards will be so different. You'll be able to get your ideas out of your head and onto paper. You will feel so much more at ease with sharing your opinion. You'll be able to create content and put it out there without second guessing yourself. You'll stop overthinking those lives and you'll actually hit live, and then you'll start seeing people respond and feel good that you're getting your message across and you're making a positive impact. Then you'll start seeing clients come through the door because they're like, wow, I really resonated with what you had to share. And that was me, the way that you were speaking about that was me. And I really want to work with you. So you really want to speak to that transformation, because then once you are putting yourself out there on a consistent basis, what I guarantee will happen is that you will then become known as the go-to person in your industry. Sales will become easier because people already trust you. The sales conversations even will become easier because people are trusting you before they even get on the call with you. You'll see money coming through the door much easier. You'll be able to be excited about the content that you create, and you'll be thinking about the impact that you make rather than the judgment you're worried about getting. And you'll probably never see that judgment come through, right? Because people love to celebrate people who are taking action. Learn to speak to the transformation versus what it is that you do. One last thing I want to add to this episode, and this idea came from when I was originally creating the episode specific for coaches. Like if you're a coach in 2026, thinking about, okay, how do I go about speaking to my transformation, articulating and communicating the value that I deliver, niching and getting even clearer, building trust. One of the biggest things I'm seeing working in 2026 is building in an event into your business strategy. If you haven't built any type of event into your business strategy, I would suggest you consider it for many reasons. I'm going to explain why. One, when I say event, it could be everything from a workshop, a conference, a retreat, a women's circle, a networking event, a workshop, online, virtual, or in person. It could be a masterclass, somewhere where you share your expertise and demonstrate your experience and expertise. With AI now, there is so much content going out there that you cannot rely on just social media content to build the trust that you're wanting in order for people to buy from you. We cannot rely on the content getting to the right people at the right time, even to support the sales process and even to build trust. Like people aren't seeing your content as much unless you're getting really, really good at creating epic content, right? And so thinking about building some type of workshop or event into your process is so beneficial, because when you do that and you invite people to be a part of it, they self-select to show they have interest in your service. So that means you then get to sell to people who are actually interested versus trying to sell to everyone online. It also helps build so much trust because you have their full undivided attention to support them through sharing your expertise and demonstrating your expertise. And I would say also in 2026 that it can't be just information. We can't just teach anymore. We used to be able to teach and then speak to the myths and speak to the doubts and fears that people are experiencing and then create an offer and then present the offer. Whereas now people are a lot more skeptical and they need a lot more trust to be built, which means ideally what you want to do is demonstrate the work that you do. So whether that is coaching live on the call, whether it is taking them through a specific framework, whether it's helping them get an outcome on the call with you or in the workshop or at the event, right? So you really want to think, okay, how do I create smaller transformations in smaller areas to support the transformation that they want to have overall? And then they will need my coaching, and then they will also want my coaching, right? So I want you to think about this because it's actually something that will benefit the growth of your business this year for sure. And this is why I'm also running the Profitable Events Workshop series. So this week, Wednesday and Friday, I'm running 2 workshops. On Friday, I'm running the Profitable Events Blueprint, teaching you all the things you need to know to create a profitable event. Now, again, it can be across any type of event, whether it's retreat, conference, workshop, networking event, whatever it is. All the things you need to consider when it comes to creating a successful event. And then on the Friday, I'll be helping you implement everything you need in order for your event to be successful and profitable. So the Friday is super implementable, okay? So you're going to walk away from that workshop, which is actually a paid workshop of $47. And the reason is because it's absolute gold and I would normally do this in my paid programs, okay? If you're already in one of my paid programs, you will get access to the replay, so there's no need to purchase it. You will absolutely get access to it. Okay, I'm going to just cover off what you're going to get for each of it because I've got some awesome bonuses that go with it as well, okay? So workshop 1 is the Profitable Event Blueprint. We're going to talk about the 5 ways events create ROI, and it's not just ticket sales. 2, how to choose the right event model for your business and for your audience because there is a difference. The numbers you're going to need to genuinely create a profitable event. What makes a room unforgettable, an event unforgettable and worth talking about. The logistics that trip people up. How tickets actually get sold. How you fill the room. How to turn one event into an ongoing client revenue, and the mindset you'll need to adopt to sell out your event. Workshop 2 is where we're going to build your event and fill the room. Okay, so we're going to do the strategy side of things. You're going to map out your event blueprint, the objective, the promise, the ticket structure. We're going to build your event numbers plan and find a break-even point. We're going to create your event sales strategy, so how you're going to go about actually promoting the event and what that looks like. We're going to build your 90-day promotional timeline. We're going to have hot seat and group brainstorming so that way you make sure you walk away with those exact things. You'll leave with your event concept, your budget, your sales strategy, and your promotional plan all done. And we'll be using my frameworks and my AI custom GPTs to help support the outcome of this because both workshops are 90 minutes. And so you might be like, oh my God, that's a lot in 90 minutes, but it's actually because we're going to be doing the work in the call, right? So if you want to join us, you can register now. There's a link in the show notes. Register your spot. You can either do the free one on Wednesday if you want, or if you want to do both, you can then register for both for $47. And I'm also going to give you 5 bonuses. My first bonus is 50 ways to fill a room because this is where people get stuck. They end up not promoting enough and then they don't fill the room. The second one is your event planning timeline. So exactly what you need to focus on during the promotion to the event, the launch, like every part of it leading up to the event. Number 3 is a masterclass template and video sales letter to help support the conversion of your event. Bonus 4 is the event sales page template. So then you know exactly what to put on your sales page to ensure that it sells tickets. And then the bonus 5 is your workshop recording. So that way you can implement everything. So whether you get workshop 1 or workshop 2, there will be a replay. So feel free to register for either. Now, you can also just register for Wednesday, see if you like it, and then decide if you want to come back for Friday. That's totally okay as well. After running events, my whole business journey, I've run like 50 plus events and I've run every type of event you can think of. And I want to just give you my knowledge and all the lessons that I've learned over the years. And every conversation I have with anyone that runs events, I'm always asking these types of questions and helping people start to think about it differently because when it comes to events, your marketing message is really important. So we're going to spend some time on that. And getting really clear on how to articulate the value of an event is also really important. So we're going to get clear on that too. So if you're either kind of having an event idea, not really sure if you want to run an event, come to Wednesday. If you're like, I've already run an event and I just want to make it more profitable, or I have an event idea, I'm already building it out and I want to make sure it's successful and profitable, then I would suggest you do both. So come along. Again, like I said, you can just join Wednesday if you like, and then we can also upgrade to the Friday one if you decide. Otherwise, I would just register for both, and then I get to see you for 3 hours this week, the 1st and 3rd of July. So make sure you register your spot via the link in the show notes. I hope you found this episode really valuable. Really think about and do the work, like sit down and actually write down the symptoms and the transformation so your ideal client really understands that you get them and that you can help them. All right, lovely. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at @ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.